This is where the fun begins.
It is settled then. My wealth will fund the rebellion while Garm provides our fleet and Mon Mothma our soldiers.
An elegant weapon for a more civilized age.
Are you sure? Sylvie.
Good morning, and I bet you guys are thinking this.
What kept you?
What kept you? Just slightly, not even a minute late. And I'm just, being, I guess you can say, a grandma and helping my son-in-law with the baby. And he's in college, and so he's in the class right now, or it should be ending now. And so I thought I'd, help out and take her and feed her and love on her and all this stuff. So yeah, so just a little tiny smidgen late. How are you guys doing? And good morning. Good morning to every single one of you from Cali, from the West Coast. I am your host, and you are on OG Star Wars channel, the Star Wars channel that is dedicated to George Lucas' era of Star Wars. And so many call me an EU elitist. Completist is a new one. That's kind of funny. Completist. Well, Star Wars isn't complete without the EU, right? Without the expanded stories from the movies. And what's so interesting is that George Lucas got a world record for the most novels that have been expanding are from the movies. So that's a major feat. George has created a lot of feats, a lot of accomplishments. And in the film industry, and he wasn't a part of Hollywood during all this time, but he influenced Hollywood so much, and so much to where some of these people in Hollywood, were begrudged to him because he was an independent. He didn't want to adhere to the standards Hollywood set, right? He wanted to be his own. He didn't want to be bossed around, right? He wanted to be the one that was in control of the lore, his franchise, the story, all of that. And through that, we've seen the birth of Star Wars. And through that, from the movies, from the beginning, if you didn't know, the novel was the very first thing that came out before the movie, and so was the comic. So Star Wars is a multimedia franchise that expands beyond the movie, and all of it is one single continuity in the canon. So thank you guys for joining me. I know I'm preaching to the choir. I know, but still, it's always good. Stop it. It's always good to bring that up, talk about it, remind the success of George Lucas. Now, this is Caf Chat. So what's in your mug? What are you enjoying while you sit down so we can chat about Star Wars lore, Disney, Star Wars news, book of the week, Lucas fact, cringe factor, all of that that this Caf Chat is designed around to create a greater conversation. What's in your mug? I am drinking just a nice cup of coffee, half, with a little bit of creamer in there. And this creamer, I think it's called a sugar cookie kind of creamer. So based upon the holidays, so just a little bit. I don't have to really sweeten it or anything like that. Just something a little decadent this morning, because it's a good morning. Yeah, good morning to you guys. All right, so today, not only are we going to have cringe factor, Lucas facts, and book of the week, we are going to just discuss some things on Twitter as well. So how are you guys doing? Let me go ahead and see who's in the chat because it's been a quick minute. So we have the Odie. How are you doing? Evening all. Finally getting cold here in the UK. Oh wow, yeah. Looks cloudy outside. Yesterday morning we had fog, and it's been relatively cool. And I forgot to say, we are discussing new Jedi Order lore. We are just recapping on the invasion so far, leading up to Behind Enemy Lines or whatever book we're on, the Rebel Train. All right. Excuse me. So, yeah. And it says, why am I early? Again, isn't this your show, OG? Be professional. Well, when I'm here early, I'm still not going live until the scheduled time, right? So I'm not going to be doing anything that you can see behind the scenes. So there we go. But thank you again, Mod. Thank you again. Smash the like button. And then see, I literally just finished Agents of Chaos Part 2. Awesome. Awesome. Get down. Get down. The cat's running around like they own the house or something, you know. All right, let's see here. That is amazing. So good. Did you re-listening and following along with the book? Boo, where's OG? I'm here now. Let's see here. And just like I said right here. All right, yeah, where's OG? I'll start. Yeah, where's OG? I'll start talking about Ahsoka if she don't show. That will get her. Wow. So you're sharing that you're truly a shield all this time, a closeted shield, our number one mod. That's a bit disappointing. Holy crap. Oh my God. Should I nominate you for like Shield of the Week or something on Darth Melvin? Yeah. Okay. Anyways. And Star Wars Ground. Howdy, everyone. How are you doing? Yo, yo, yo. What's up? What's up? How are you doing? Lethal Nonsense. Okay, and then let's see here. Hell, OG, and awe. Hey, how are you doing, Backseater? How are you doing? Let's see here. Sheev. What about Sheev, that Disney Star Wars wannabe Palpatine? Oh, you're talking about Palpatine. That I did not share. That's not Sheev. That's not Sheev. That's Palpatine. All right. Sheev is a fake lore. Correct. Correct. All right. Who am I missing here? She was not created by George. It was an idea for his name that never fruitioned under Lucasfilm when George was in charge, when he was owner. So that name. Talk about what? Let's talk about what? Let's not Taco Tuesday. That was a couple of days ago. What is Thursday then? Taco Thursday doesn't match as much as Taco Tuesday. It just doesn't feel like it belongs like that. And the Odie says, I had a lovely big cup of tea. Damn, cat, go. Cool. So cold tea. So what kind? What flavor? What type of plant or herb or whatever tea? Because you can have mint tea, you can have chamomile, what have you. I've just read the first 6 issues of OG Marvel Star Wars or OG Marvel series that adapt A New Hope to gear up for my review series on that series. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's what Disney Story Group told him. Let's see here. And Batsy is here. Hey, OG, I took a break, but now I'm back. Hey, we all need breaks. And a channel member here as well. Hey, how are you doing, Melissa Lord? How are you doing? Good morning to you. All right, looks like I'm caught up here. More people will drop in, or it might be a little bit of a slow Thursday, but who knows? Because, this is morning time where I'm at. Yorkshire tea. Yum. I hope you enjoyed it. All right. So let's see here. I didn't even pull up what I wanted to talk about on the Twitter stuff that I was thinking about. So I'm going to do that. And then we're going to share our two little segues, Lucas Facts and Book of the Week, because I think it's important to share. Let's see here. Let's see. When I get distracted by a little one, I forget to make sure all the other stuff are pulled up. Let's see here. It would help if I go to my profile. And as always, I forgot to mention this, as always, if you are catching the replay, thank you so much. Leave me a comment below that you were here. Say hello, talk on a topic that we talked about. I'd love to hear from you, all of that. Let me see here. I'm scrolling. This is what happens when I forget to just have it bookmarked. And oh, there we go. There we go. I got it. I found it. Yeah. So it's always good, to hear back from you guys that catch the replay. You guys are amazing as well. Sometimes we get busy in life, and I do that now. In fact, I work, and I'm going to update you guys a little bit. I work Wednesday nights now at a studio. And so I get there at 4:30 my time, and then I close or I'm done at 8. So with all this, I miss Casual Rage. From Raging Rhino. So then I would just catch the replay because he goes live when I am working now. So that's kind of a bummer. I don't get to catch it live and see how he is doing and hello and all that. But one thing's pretty sad is that we don't hardly talk anymore. I still support him and his channel and stuff like that. I'm still a member there, still a mod there. So yeah, I will probably catch him this coming Wednesday because the studio's closed down for the holiday for the Thanksgiving time. So I will be able to be there then. But I usually catch the replay right now because of my schedule shift. And with that being said, the schedule shift also has me prepping for Caf Chat a little early. And because I've been adapting and switching up my schedule and stuff, I haven't finished reading Rebel Dreams. So yeah. So we're going to talk about just basically the Vong Invasion up until that point, just recapping on everything so we can create a discussion. Why not? But with that being said, you guys are amazing, and thank you for supporting. And speaking of supporting, I do have merch. I'm so bad at promoting it. I still need to get some of my Sith eyes up there. I don't know how many Sith eyes I'm going to add to the collection, but I'd love to add more and have like you could build your collection, make little collecting cards or something like that for you guys, so you guys can have that. Let's see here, and it says, "Damn, now I got that R. Kelly Trapped in the Closet song in my head." Thanks, Sochi. Hey, it's always a good time here on Caf Chat, right? Always a good time. Oh, goodness. And Gatekeepers Alliance found an app that makes some crazy, like you put your words into the AI app and it creates a song. It matches the type of song you want to do up. It's freaking amazing. And there's one I want to make about the EU or George Lucas Era Star versus Disney. And it'll be one of the songs played here. So I am thinking about like something like from TLC, "Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls." And I have this whole like phrase in my head not written out, but it's in my head about that pertaining to the EU and how I could switch the words around, but it's going to still be the same melody and all that. So stay tuned for that. Gatekeepers Alliance, we are having so much fun creating these songs and stuff. So stay tuned for the other Gatekeepers Alliance to see or hear those songs in the videos. Let me see. It smells like R. Kelly sheets. Pissed. Ooh, Melissa. I'm not used to seeing Melissa in lore because of the ad. And I'm going to go and probably look on YouTube to see if our StreamYards are somewhere, see if I can change that. It's weird looking the ad. Oh my God, these cats, if you heard that, they're running around all over the damn place. I don't want no scrubs, and that could be like no chills. There we go. Yeah, so I'm thinking about that, and I gotta sit down and play with that this weekend. All right. So with that being said, let's see here. I want to start to do AI music. TLC. Yeah, TLC. I remember like one of my, and we're going to go to an OG flashback, little fact, knowing about OG. So I think I was about 14 back in the day when I was a little kid. I was 14 and I went to go visit my dad and my stepmom in Iowa. And so I flew into Omaha, Nebraska. And they picked me up at the airport and got loaded up. And it was snowy. It's Christmas time. It's around Christmas time. So it was in December, late December towards Christmas. And I remember just like my dad had one of those little camper shell type trucks. And it was made into little campers. I remember laying back there on one of the beds because traveling was a little tiring and stuff like that. And they were letting us play whatever songs we wanted to play. And we were very eclectic with the music, going from like old country, like Hank Williams Sr., and then getting into the more modern Bo Cephas, and then also getting into like the Beatles, and then also getting into rock, and there's a rap and all this other stuff. So we were playing, me and my stepsisters were all playing TLC, and I just remember just cruising down and just listening to some TLC, just relaxing and just having a good time, sharing some memories with my dad and stepmom and stepsisters and stuff. But anyways, yeah, rest in peace, Left Eye. So yeah, these songs, and I think more or less for Gen Xers and maybe some millennials, like we were the ones that were not too much influenced by the social media culture where it's like your life is on there all the damn time. And so we were listening to songs and like in the summertime, summertime, we were by the pool and remembering having a good ass time. And the songs that are coming up with that are traveling where we're traveling. We travel a lot back to the Midwest from California and back and forth, going to powwow ceremonies, all that. Just remembering these songs that evoked these memories, these thoughts and stuff, these adventures, where we're at and stuff. It's freaking amazing. It's amazing. And to me, and my kids have that memory too now, because that's what we did. We didn't give our kids cell phone access and social media access until they're like in their late teens, almost adult lives. So yeah. And so, I think a lot of kids nowadays are missing that aspect more than, and don't have that influence like we did. And it's kind of sad. Let me see. It says, I'm a Gen Z and I listen to a lot of older music as far as the Glenn Miller Orchestra. Okay, cool. And there are some, and I'm not saying that this is predominant through the newer generations, but it's just something that I've noticed that it's predominant in the majority. You are probably a minority, and that's cool. That's cool. Anyways, and then that also goes to Star Wars, right? Because that evokes the memories of when you were a child and your family and the joys of just like sitting with family and watching your favorite shows and stuff like that, or going to the theater, because the theater was a thing back then. Today, it's like not. And just because, and I'm not sticking up for Hollywood or anything like that, but theater is not a thing anymore. No, it's not. And so they're not getting, no matter what show it is, whether it's good or bad, they're not getting as nearly as the attention that I've always seen growing up. It's just the culture today. It's the theaters are dying in general, in a sense. It's not that there are bad movies being made and stuff. It's just in general, the culture has shifted a lot out of the theaters because of online or TV, sources. Anyways, we're not here to talk about that. So let's get into our Lucas facts. It says kids today be saying 6, 7, but the real ones know 1, 2, 3, and to the 1, 2, 3, and to the 4. Yeah, exactly. It's so funny. 6, 7. I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. Oh wow. every generation has their bullshit stuff, right? We all have our bullshit stuff. We're not free from it whatsoever, but I think it's funny. I think it's funny how we fight amongst ourselves about that. All right, with that being said, the magnificent George Lucas, and no, I don't put him on a pedestal. I know he has his faults and stuff. Like some people who call me like EU completist, elitist to completist. I'll know completist. I have to ponder that word because completist. Completist means like everything is complete. Like I want like everything's complete. Everything's there. Completist. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Kind of weird. But let's get into this.
That's great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
What I forgot to do, I forgot to put up, because I got distracted. I forgot to put up the right clips. The other one, the one that's going to show that I'm going to share is from last week. I just now realized that. That's one thing I forgot to do last night. And I went to work. I went to go teach at the studio. And I was like, oh, I got everything done. I don't have to worry about anything. Oh, I forgot to put these on. So here we go. I forgot to put these up here. So I'm going to do it right now. Wah. Hey, it happens. I'm getting into the groove, you guys. I'm getting into the groove. So here we go. Here is the Lucas fact. All right. Here we go. There really isn't any story to tell. It's been covered in the books and video games and comic books, which are things I think are incredibly creative. George Lucas's interview with the LA Times, May 7th, 2008. So imagine that. Imagine that. This is a professionally ran show, you all. Yes, it is. It sure is. And you guys know it is. My schedule just has been shifting. And so there's little things that slip up. You know, professionals are not, perfect. So here we go. There you go. Completist. Yeah. All right. So George Lucas, this is 2008. And he's talking about the books. He is talking about, is there anything else you're going to do? Are you going to write any other story or whatever? And he's like, there's not really anything to tell anymore. It's all been told. It's all been told. So if the EU wasn't canon, then why would he say something like that anyways? I think that people forget about these anti-EU people, these people who are like, George Lucas never said it was canon, never seen it as canon. You know, they forget about quotes like this where he's like, there's not really any story to tell. It's all been covered. And he's being very honest, because why bring people in to expand on the stories and set rules, perimeters, having them be reviewed so that they match his idea, his mythos of Star Wars? All of that. If it wasn't canon, you can still set some rules of like, I don't want you to, I want you to cover the story this way or that way or whatever. There still can be rules for a franchise like for example, Star Trek, on how things, perimeters, and how things are going to be written. But here, this was all about one storyline, creating a single history. Yes, and it's because they trusted him or them to keep continuity. And yes, from there, so people think, oh, well, George didn't even know about the EU or knew the EU, or George didn't even keep track. Well, he's not even really keeping track of his own lore. He hired people to not only keep track of the EU, the comics, the books, the novels, all of that, but also to keep track of the movie portion of it. Because that's not his job to keep track of all the continuity. Does he know what he created? Yes, he does. Hey there, Derek. How are you doing? I see you in the chat, and Zara as well. Hello, how are you guys doing? So this right here is a very important Lucas fact right there. Now I should have put up the whole quote, but I didn't. So but if I would have got off that, if I would have gotten it off that, and I didn't get anything, I don't even go to that person's site. But if I would have clipped or screenshot from that person's site, that SW versus ST person's site, then he would probably said, "Oh, you're cutting, you're erasing, you're not being honest. You didn't cite this and that, whatever." Having a friggin' brain aneurysm over something. It was so fucking funny. But anyways, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Yes, Lucas created position in his company to keep track of all things, the keeper of the holocron. And even before then, Cannibal, even before that, Stuart Stoney and I think, was it Alan Couch or whatever his name is? I probably got it wrong, but I know the last name, I think. But anyways, they created what is called the Bible. And this was long before Leland Shee was hired. So I'm thinking that, well, no, I'm not thinking. I know that when Leland Shee was brought on, because everything was getting so expansive, everything like Star Wars got so big with lore. Like you could even, that clip where George is being asked, about the Star Wars universe, and he's like, "Well, we have, we have encyclopedias, we have source books, blah blah blah." He's naming, and we have thousands of characters. Now I'm paraphrasing. It got big. The lore is expansive, and so they brought in Leland to document all of that, and so he created the holocron. Let's see. Doctor Who is unrecognizable, and that's what I heard. I haven't got into Doctor Who, so I can't really say anything on that in regards to, but I've been hearing that from a lot of people. And it says, people forget, man, George Lucas was involved in The Force Unleashed, Shadows of the Empire, and wrote the prologue to Shatterpoint. Yes, there was a lot of things that he was involved with. There was a lot of things that he, either was there physically or writing back and forth and stuff with the authors. And there's times that he was busy and he couldn't. And so he trusted the people that he hired to speak for him, to approve for him. But any like important lore regarding the movie characters that are being written about too, George overseen. It was his thing. Those are his characters he created. So of course he had say. You broke that guy mentally, OG. Yeah, that was freaking crazy. He's still going right now. I just kind of ignored it. Like, I shared a link. He was showing a link about Leland and the hierarchy of canon, like what he wrote up about it, I guess you could say, on his site, based upon some of the interviews that he shared. And it kept coming back that the link was broken, or the server that the website is from was broken. So I just shared a screenshot showing that I couldn't get in, and he just went off the edges on that. And I don't know what he said about it, but he was just making something out of nothing. And then when I was talking to someone else about it, I was like, yeah, I tried to click and it kept on coming up that I couldn't get in or whatever. And he just kept on drawing conclusions that weren't there. It's kind of funny, this mental gymnastics from that crazy ass shit. He's still going off. It's funny. The EU canon, it wasn't perfect, but it made sense. Yeah, it did. And lethal nonsense. Jango Fett killing Jedi with his bare hands, cut pacifist Mandalorian in TCW. Yeah. And they did that too, in a sense, and this is not a defense to them, but they did that too because of the children's show, kind of deal. So it's crazy. It's fucking crazy. All right. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the next segue here. This is my favorite clip of all time. I'm proud of this one. Here we go.
I hate to say it, but it looks like
Story.
the item you're searching for doesn't exist.
Impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
If an item does not appear in our records, it does not exist.
It does not exist. Oh, I love that clip so much. Let me go ahead and bring this up now here. There we go. Here we go. Usually I have it all set up, but here we go. So I decided to go into an RPG source book, The Jedi Academy. And so the author of this is Paul Sudlow. The illustrators are Storm Cook, John Dollar, and Ray Lederer. Hopefully I said that right. And it's a Weston's Games, and it's in hardback, and it was published April 1996. So that was like just let's see here. That's about 8 months or so before my son was born. My son was born in 1996. Oh my God, I'm sharing my age. My firstborn, 1996. All right. And timeline is 11 ABY. ABY after Battle of Yavin. I'm always saying it kind of differently, but it's basically after the Battle of Yavin. Continuity notes. In the original outline for the Jedi Academy trilogy, Mon Mothma died as a result of her infection. But Lucasfilm ultimately rejected this idea. What? Lucasfilm? Okay. They probably got a directive from their boss because she is a movie character. Lucasfilm. This isn't from the licensing department. This is from the main departments, the house of everything, Lucasfilm. Didn't want her to die. So I don't know. How many of you guys read the trilogy? And you remember the story about Mon Mothma? Okay. In November of 1994, to promote the upcoming release of the science fiction book club edition of the Jedi Academy trilogy in an omnibus hardcover, the series publisher Bantam Spectra released a TV commercial for the series. And I forgot to pull up the TV commercial. I was hoping I'd have it ready, and like I said, I just failed on that. I have this book, lots of info. Yes, it is. Damn, I'm old. Age is just a number. I don't feel old whatsoever. Like the two classes I'm teaching Wednesday nights now, basically is hot vinyasa, so hot yoga. And I'm teaching lift and flow. So that's a whole hour. It's heated. And so it's basically a modality that has yoga. You use weights. You have some weight training. And you have cardio or HIIT. And then you have core work. And then you have some grounding yoga after that. And then you lie down in Shavasana. Now there's 4 rounds. The first 2 rounds is basically lower body work. And then the last 2 rounds is basically upper body work. And each little section has their cardio hit. And so, yeah. So, oh goodness. So that's a fun class because it's high energy music and stuff. And I'm thinking about finding, like, you know how you have the different covers to different songs, whether it's a little slower or a little faster. I'm thinking about finding some covers that are like high energy, like 160 beats per minute type 80 songs, and have an 80s type playlist just for the fun of it. So here we go. We have the Jedi Academy source book. It's an excellent addition to your Jedi Academy trilogy. And so, yeah, I highly recommend getting this. In fact, I think you can find it on thriftbooks.com. All right, let me see here. So that is your Lucas Facts and your book of the week. Now, I have an honorary game of the week. Now, I don't do games of the week or anything like that. Let me see. Soul Assassin, if you want to reshare the link with me so I don't have to search for it and I won't take up too much time, if you can do that. Let's see here. I know several bossy soul assassin. Go do this for me. Let me see here. I hate that. Oh no. My internet is okay. Let's see here. There we go. It's like ever since this friggin' update for Twitter, ever since this Twitter update, it's like now that the messages or the DMs are now called chat. I don't know if it's always been called that or not. And then, but it's acting slow. It's acting slow. So where is the honorary game that I said that I would do? I'm not asking Soul Assassin to grab it real quick, but I'm scrolling right now nonetheless. I'm scrolling nonetheless. Let's see here. And it stopped where I'm at. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right. Where is it? Oh, it's not letting me find it. Ooh. Ooh. All right. Damn it. Let's see here what you're saying. Couture 2. Star Wars Decipher card game was better than the Star Wars card game. You know, I've never played those. So I will have to just take your word for that. And EU is better than Disney. She'll have to make up their own headcanon to make things in Disney or Star Wars make sense. I agree. Let me see here. I like the down Toby clip that you sent me. So, all right. Let's see here. Now, what do you guys know about the Legacy comics and the artists behind the Legacy comics? Do you guys have the Legacy collection? And this is like Cad and Cade and Marasai, I think that's what her name is. And the story with Darth Great. And you know, we're in New Jedi Order discussion. We're getting into that here pretty quick. But I wanted to bring this up before we go into New Jedi Order. Lethal says, I have not got into Legacy yet. Way behind. That's fine. It's good. There's a lot to read and cover in the lore, like in the timeline. And that's the beautiful thing. That is the beautiful thing. We're not out of things to read, things to look up, things to share, things to talk about. You know, it's overly expansive, right? So I'm asking this question. Hey, AOT, how are you doing? And I know I probably have someone listening in the background, and it's our gatekeeper, Purist, and he cannot comment or participate, but I just want to shout out. I meant to do that last night before I went to bed, is link Rumble. I had to go over a tutorial video on how to do that with StreamYard, and I just didn't do it last night. I was tired, so I apologize, but we are going to be airing on Rumble soon enough. But because I do have my fellow gatekeeper probably listening in the background.
Because there's a fucking gatekeeper. There's a fucking gatekeeper.
There you go. There's a fucking gatekeeper. All right. So now I'm asking you guys about if you know the art of the Legacy comics. Particular covers, the covers that are either with gray or white in the background. Now, I bet you probably a lot of you guys might think it's Jan Duursema because she's a very popular comic artist and even storyteller for George Lucas' era of Star Wars. But it wasn't her. It was Adam Hughes who had made and contributed some of the covers for Legacy comics. And I'm bringing this up. There's a purpose why I'm bringing this up. If you guys have not seen the thumbnail, you're probably not figuring out why or you're like, wait a minute, what's going on? What's going on? Now, as an artist, before I pull this up, as an artist, if I am inspired by another artist or recreating from someone else, I will give credit where credit's due. In fact, like my Quinlan Boss and portions of like some of the stuff I'm doing with like my Quinlan Boss, I believe that's the one. I could be wrong. But for sure, which one? What did I do? The crate one. That is Jan Dursema. That's where I'm going to give credit. And I, out of respect, I made it different so that I'm not copying exactly and making it my own. So as an artist, there's this bit of honesty factor of, you know, giving credit where credit is due, and then making out of inspiration, making your own version of, but still giving the credit where credit is due. And this is what I am talking about with this. Now, I didn't go into the aspects of what it's about and, you know, saying, hey, I as this type of person, I really don't see that we need to see ourselves inside, you know, a galaxy like this, because it's the diversity is about aliens and not just about humans, you know, or what have you. So I did get into that aspect. So this is what I'm talking about here. So this was shown here. Make sure it's showing on your guys. There we go. This is what's shown here. This is basically going to be one cover for Black History Month, which is February, I believe. Star Wars Black History Month 2026 comic covers have been released. And Torin Clark is basically the one that did this cover here. And these were people, all of these were approved by Lucasfilm, I believe, for who they want in this panel here of characters. So there are some missing people been calling it out. I'm just laughing at it because no one can be satisfied, right? No one can be satisfied. It's like they're giving, you know, our Black brothers and sisters a chance to see themselves in Star Wars, even though Star Wars is, and I'm going to say it now. Now I'm saying it, you know, a diverse, basically based upon species, not human species or human race, basically. But hey, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. So this was shown, and I seen this not yesterday, but the night before, the day before. And the minute I seen this, I thought about, let me go ahead and click back, these covers here. Now I'm going to click here. Do you see a lot of similarities? Do you see a lot of similarities here? Oh, I wish there was an arrow for this. Oh, there we go. You notice a lot of similarities, right? Look at Kay. He looks like a fly guy. And then here is the panel. Here's the full-on panel. Now, this has been cut out. There's more. You can see the lightsabers. There's more to the screen. But basically, it's the exact same thing, same type of mood, background, all of that. Now, each one of these are basically covers that Adam Hughes has done for the Legacy series. So you can see that the covers, each one of these with these groups are put on here. Luke has one on his own, and you have Marisol, you have the Fells here, and I forget her name, the Twilight's name. I'm sorry. You have the Knights, Imperial Knights here. You know, so you have this. These were each put on here to make a complete panel of some of the main characters in here, influential characters. What this is about. Now we're missing a few people, but that's okay. You know, that's okay. But here we go. So exactly the same, or this is exactly the same as the Legacy one. Go. Oh, I don't want you. I have my daughter's cat rubbing against my computer because it's nice and warm. Okay. And I don't want her to press any buttons by mistake and then disconnect us. Hi there, Chio Wesley. How are you doing? And again, I am seeing the @ handle and not your screen name on here for whatever reason. The only type of human on human human discrimination is from those from outside the core worlds. And then Disney Star Wars really shines shining that virtual signaling. And then Lethal says maybe they'll fumble with the virtue signal like 434 did with Halo on Juneteenth. You know what? I heard bits and pieces, but I don't know the exact story behind that. So like say true professionals charge $500 for streams. It's a ripoff. Yes, it is. It is a ripoff. So it's copying and stuff. It's a ripoff. And I'm going to share with you what I said here. You know, so I'm going to share with you what I said. Let me get out of this image. Let me go back to my image. Oh shit. Where did it go? I lost it. Let me see. There we go. I was already there. Dun, dun, dun. All right, so this is what I said. And I don't need my, there we go. I seen this last night, but was busy prepping Caf Chat, among other things, to look further into this. Torrin Clark copied Adam Hughes' style, the legacy covers, and notably the stylization of the legacy character panel. And there's this article I read and I shared there. He was never given a mention, and I need to put it in here. I referred to this here, this link, this article about it. As artists, it is proper to give credit to who inspired your piece. And again, you know, I'm strongly about that. Give inspiration. Who are you being inspired to bring about this look, right? And that's my thing about AI. AI is such a useful tool in some ways, but also such a horrible tool in other ways. I'm not a big fan of AI. And I just got done talking like in the beginning of the stream. I'm going to do an AI music piece. AI is a useful tool, like I said, useful too. But other than that, you know, and even as a person with their hand creating their art pieces, you need to give credit where it's due, at least, you know, saying inspired by or whatever. Or even if you don't put that when you display your art, but you want to give credit, you can always discuss it and stuff. Like I do contemporary ledger art, and that came out as a part of when my people put on reservations, and a lot of our resources were taken away from us. And part of that was being able to travel to get certain dyes from certain parts of the land and plants and stuff like that, and even hunting for the buffalo robes and deer and stuff like that. We're in a state of hopelessness, I guess you can say, of not being put on the reservations in the beginning. And what we did is that we took the ledger books from the agency house and any type of ink pens and stuff like that they had, and we went from, you know, documenting our people's history on winter counts and stuff like that to telling and documenting our stories on those ledger papers. And that's how ledger art came about. One person that inspired me was Donald Montello. And he is a big inspiration. So I will talk about him. Do I do exactly what he does? No, I don't. Because ledger art is something that is relatively the same per person, but their stories are very, very different. And I've taught ledger art for the local college here for Native American History Month. And they retaught it again this year for this month for Native American History Month as part of learning that you can take an inspired concept and make it your own. And that's called respect. You know, you're respecting where it comes from, the culture, where it comes from, the ideas and stuff like that. And so that's another example. And then I also love, I'm getting into an artist rant. And I also like looking at the masters and the impressionists from the European countries. And I like Monet and stuff like that. And what they did. And I'm inspired by them. So if one day I decide, you know, like if I do a piece that's similar to maybe the lilies from Monet, I'll say, hey, this piece is inspired from or by Monet. And especially when a piece looks significantly the same as the artist, the original artist, give fucking credit where credit is due. I saw pretty ledger art at the Crazy Horse Museum. Oh, at Crazy Horse Monument over there in the Black Hills. Cool. Yeah, I've been to that Crazy Horse Monument so many damn times. When I travel back home and we go through the Black Hills and stuff, we'll stop there. We'll eat. We'll walk around, see if there's any new art put up, because they also feature modern art as well as art from our ancestors and stuff like that. Yeah, and then all the flags. I don't think they have every single flag, but they have, excuse me, like majority of the indigenous flags from all the nations in Canada, I believe, and into the United States. Pretty cool. All right, so I just wanted to share this. Now, tonight on the spacing, and that I'll be listening to on my drive home. I am subbing a class up where I teach at, in the new studio I teach at. I'm subbing a class, so I get out of there just right before, like maybe 15, 20 minutes before it starts. So on my drive home, I'll be listening to the spacing. So I'll be there. I just won't be modding the chat as much because I'll be driving until I get home. But the spacing will cover this topic as well, but in Tim's own way, you know, because, you know, we're not an echo chamber when it comes to Gatekeepers Alliance, right? So my aspect here is more or less, you know, the art aspect of giving credit and stuff like that. But you guys know who Adam is. Let me see if I can, let me get out of this here so I don't dox anybody's DMs or my DMs with them. Okay, there we go. And let me pull up what I'm looking for. Let me see here. Scroll, scroll, scroll. I know I've seen that, so I'm not going to miss out on that. Where did it go? Where did it go? I know I've seen it. It's easy to get to. I just got to scroll. Scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. There we go. I wish there's a way I can show it without showing the DM. Damn it. I know. I know what I can do. Okay. Let me go ahead and remove this. I feel like there needs to be some kind of like fun music that while you search for something. All right. All right. So here is Adam Hughes. Look at that. This is Adam Hughes. He is the one that contributed probably about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 covers. I'm guesstimating to the Legacy comics. Look at his cosplay. Talk about a fan. Holy shit. Talk about a fan. All right. So, do you recall? And I think I've been in this conversation about a year ago, and maybe even sooner. Like some Disney shill saying, well, you know, and this goes with like, I think it was the Shatterpoint, the Essential Legends Shatterpoint, and they took Mark Thompson's, I think it was Mark Thompson who did the original, or was it Jonathan or whatever, Jonathan Davis. Well, one of those two were the narrators. While the new Essentials for Shatterpoint is a black narrator. Okay, cool. That's fine. But I've been in an argument like, oh, it can't be authentically told if there's no black person narrating. And I was like, okay. I guess it's their prerogative to change that and think that way and stuff like that. You know, I'm trying to distinguish Star Wars away from our modern society, because Star Wars is its own. Like I said, there's not necessarily any human races. Human is just a species among thousands, trillions of species in the galaxy. And I was like, okay. And so there's that argument going back and forth with people and at the time and stuff like that. So I guess this is also with Black artists creating Black characters, I guess. So let me go ahead and take this off the screen so I can switch pictures without doxing or sharing, because I respect more or less private spaces. All right. Let me bring this back up. Here is Torrin Clark. He's the one that now created the Black History comic panel with the Black characters in Disney Star Wars. So honoring the Black man, that's cool. I respect that, because we're in the middle, we're in Native American History Month. That's pretty cool. That's awesome. But I would have loved to see his own idea of sharing these characters. Now, if Lucasfilm put together that panel, it still doesn't do any justice, right? But they're crediting that he's getting credit for that panel. So I would have loved to see something completely different, or at least give credit where credit's due back to Adam. Remember when race, gender, and religion was so damn important? Those were good times when everyone was cool, correct? Yes, Chio, awesome cosplay. I know I read that already, but I do agree for Adam. And Star Wars Francis, it's shameless how much they plagiarize. The OT says, it's the same nonsense as only Black voice actors should voice Black characters. And that's the thing. I've seen that. And then there was arguments, well, what about The Simpsons? And stuff like that. Because they're yellow characters. Mainly yellow characters. Everybody has jaundice in The Simpsons. But anyways, and I get, like, if it's a historical theme where it's like Black historical type novel, then sure, why not? Because I have read some Native authors and their books telling either their story or a historical event, and of course they narrate their audiobook. That's fine, I get it. But like I said, I like to distinguish Star Wars away from our reality, because it's not our reality, right? And so, like, if they ever did something for Native American Heritage Month with Star Wars, I would be like, oh no. I honestly would not agree with it. I would not agree with it, because Star Wars is a place where I can take my imagination further away from even these race stereotype wars, these back and forth. And just know that we can all exist somewhere else together without the confines of skin color and what you look like, where you come from. Although there is a little bit of that racism, the speciesism, the xenophobia of what planet you're from and stuff like that. There's that, because it can't be believable if there's no sense of like some pushback on like where you come from and your origins and stuff, because that's just nature, right? But I'm just saying in general, like with the human species and stuff in Star Wars, it's just basically nearly just one race. It's human race. And it's a great place to like say, oh, we can coexist in a sense without worrying about the color of our skin and all of that, or what our race is, and that's the beauty of that. That is the beauty of that, and I know it's like far-fetched, like, oh, can't we just all get along? But Star Wars was a place where, humans can exist together without the confines of race and skin color. And it was a beautiful thing George set up. Now, again, Black History Month, awesome. Awesome shit. And I'm pretty sure, just like with Native American history, a lot's not told. or it wasn't told exact, or some stories were left out. There's so many times, like I taught Native American history, or Native American enrichment and dance for about 15 years for my husband's tribe. And this was so mind-boggling. There was many times that when we performed, and after we performed, I would have question and answers with the students, and they would get their chance to get out there and dance with us and stuff like that. And there's kids that still asked, Indians still exist? And then, of course, going to the stereotypes and stuff like that. And that was, and is still crazy to hear. And then, like, when I share with Soul Assassin and others, like Native history, like even going on today, even stuff that should be known, it still boggles my mind that it was never taught or shared in school. And then when I was in American history in high school, and we were given an assignment to write on any historical event between a certain time frame, and this like in the 1800s or so, I chose Wounded Knee because my background, I do have family that were survivors, I guess you could say, or had family that were survivors or died. And I wrote about the story. I got to interview some family. I got to compare with actual events documented, and also like other historical events, like through the school, like what they have in the library, what they have in their history books that they teach. Well, after I was done and I turned in my assignment, I got a B+ for it. Fine, sure, it's cool. But the teacher said he has never heard about Wounded Knee. That's fucking crazy. I'm like, you're a fucking American history teacher. I was so dumbfounded. So dumbfounded. But anyways, I know I'm going past beyond Star Wars and stuff like that, but this is part of like what I was telling you about, like when I read Star Wars, when I watch Star Wars, when I get involved in it, it's that escapism of even, escaping from the prejudice, the racism and stuff like that, that many of us experience in our lives. We all have at one point. Because the human race are just all one single race. So there's my tangent for you guys. So there we go. Let me go ahead and remove this. Chio says, I'm Black and have been a Star Wars fan for years. I have never needed a Black character in Star Wars to be seen. I've never understood that. I can enjoy Star Wars no matter what the character's color. And good for you. That's great. And like I said, you probably agree with me. It's just getting into the escapism, enjoying the story, the characters, all of that, right? And now it's like they're throwing tokens at us, like, oh, here we go, we're token people now, like, oh, we do the diversity now. Well, you guys, Georgia did diversity from the beginning, but the diversity was beyond just the humans, right? Beyond just the humans. Core worlds, elitists hating on outer rim bumpkins, correct? There's that. And then you have the whole empire being xenophobic. Yeah. And if you are for those different species and stuff like that as a human, then you were discriminated against too. So there's that. Again, those are the nuances and stuff, because human life, all of that. I mean, the modern education system is crap. I know. Okay, I really think these people in Disney Star Wars are so disingenuous. I do too. Erasing history is a thing. It is. And we're seeing that even with Star Wars. We are going to the revisionist history. And when I was looking for that legacy panel to show, now I think I have it in my source book here. I think it's in the source book. I'm not sure. I didn't pull it. I didn't think about it at the time because I don't know why. But anyways, that Black History Month panel kept coming up. And so that's what I wanted to talk with you guys as well, is that for the fact that Disney is reconfiguring, rewriting your search engines on what comes up with renaming, a retelling, and doing art that is similar to what came before. And when you type in New Jedi Order, you're going to get this supposedly Rey movie that's supposedly supposed to happen. I do have a super chat, though, I need to get to. Jack Chipper, 199. Thank you so much. Advice on how to draw like Star Wars EU for beginners. There's different artists. I would search for an artist that you resonate with. And what I do is get my art paper, and just get my favorite graphite pencils and draw. Now, if you're not used to drawing anatomy and stuff like that, I would get one of those anatomy artist books to study on, like how to draw faces and stuff like that. You can even project an image on the wall, put your paper there and draw over that. So that's another way. And just sit down, find your favorite artist, find your favorite image, and just draw. Keep practicing. Have fun with it. Have fun with it. Thank you so much for the 199 super chat. Looking at Bob Ross. He's a genius. No mistakes, just happy little accidents. I know. I used to love watching him growing up. It was so much fun. I wasn't able to do a lot of things. My family couldn't afford a lot of things for me. So PBS was a place where I could have gone to when I was little, or I did go to for art, all of that. So much fun. Yep, I've been seeing it for a while. The search engines makes you. Right, correct. Correct. All right, so let's get into New Jedi Order talk. New Jedi Order talk. I know we didn't do nothing last week because we went into a full-on special edition of Cringe Factor. We're still going to do Cringe Factor, but we'll be good. It's not going to take long. And then we have Holy Shitful is left me actually gifted 10 OG Star Wars memberships. Thank you so much for that. I do need to play a clip because, I'm so bad at playing these fucking clips. Let me see here. Let's do this one. And one more time. And those who were gifted super chats, you can join us this Sunday at 6 p.m. for book club. Even if you haven't picked up on Young Jedi Knights, I would love to have you there. I would then also give you homework to catch up to the book that we are on. Because I give homework, if you don't know. I love giving you guys homework on that kind of stuff. Pick up the book, catch up, or, do what you need to do, or just come and just chat and listen. And just we talk about what's going on in the book and other things as well, and have a good time. And it's just a small community, under George Lucas era Star Wars, the Young Jedi Knights. All right. Shout out to all the new members. Yes. All right. So we are up to the book Behind Enemy Lines 1, Rebel Dreams, which I have picked back up so I could finish reading. And so the evasion. And I didn't do my PowerPoint. This I know. I just didn't feel like doing it. I was tired, all that. So I'm good. So the invasion, not evasion. Invasion. Vector Prime, the first book, but that's the first parts, the first area noted for when the Vong came through. And you have the scientists recognizing these different anomalies that seem like comets, but were not acting like comets, right? Vicky, what's her name? That's her name, not Vicky shit. Danny Quee is one of the scientists that escaped and then has been a part of the New Jedi Order, even under, for the whole series. And she does leave eventually, and I'm giving the spoilers. to be the Zonama Seacot because of her research and stuff like that. And but she's the one of them, surviving one, basically, who has witnessed the invasion. Witness the invasion. And I wish they made a second source book part 2, because that would be on my bookshelves as well. You know, and they had these maps here. Either you can have the map in the book that I shared with the claw that was closing in on the core, which I think was brilliant to do. And then you have these little just maps, this map of the dots and the planets on how they came in and what planets they decimated or took over. Taking slaves, putting the little coral anomalies in their slaves to control until basically it overcame them, and terraformed different worlds pertaining to what world they thought could either be a resource planet or a ship planet or what have you. Very crazy, but very smart intergalactic species, the Vong. So tell me, chat, who here has read through the series, and tell me your favorite Yuuzhan Vong character. And if you're listening on Twitter, tell me in the Twitter comments there. I will reply to you after the show, or at least heard it after the show to acknowledge that. Tell me, who is your favorite Vong character? I would like to know. We have 38 beautiful souls listening in and watching and in chat. So we have Gnome Anor. Gnome Anor and Silver Org is here. Ogre. I say org. I don't know why I say org all the fucking time. Ogre. I don't know why. I should know better. I should know better. Yeah, he's one of the channel members, and you missed this last Sunday. And the conclusion to Shadow Academy and all of that. So I'm going to send you a link or share the link for members if you have not listened for the half part of the book to listen, because I think it was very important for you to hear, because you're wondering about who this emperor is and all this other stuff. Yeah, so you missed out on the good stuff. And yes, I messed up. I shared the wrong link, and I had to recorrect that almost like an hour before. Now, sorry, my mistake. Geez, just a rough week for me since Sunday, right? And Star Wars Grad says he liked learning about the Rin species. Yeah, they're pretty unique, right? It was pretty interesting how the authors put together that species, right? So in Vector Prime, Valkaden, Serpendal, Dubrillion, Bastion, and Hauska were the first to go. First to be invaded and taken or destroyed, what have you. What have you. Now we're going just through the invasion. Just to recap, so next week we can pick off where I want to leave off on with the story. And let's see here. Any more? Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure I got all the planets in front of me that I want to talk about. The galaxy is huge. The galaxy is big. And then by the time of Dark Tide Onslaught, we have Monolith that was added to that, Dantooine, and Bimiel. And Bimiel. And so that was there. And see, and like I said, I should have brought the visuals to you. I normally do. So this time I don't. This time I don't have it. Let me see. something here. I could probably pull up one of my old slides and just use the beginning of the slides that I normally have. Because, you know, I'm a nerd like that. Even when, let me see if Fall Coruscant has it. It's going to download. So again, recap, Vector Prime all the way into Dark Tide. Valkaden, Halska, Serpendal, Dubrillion, Bastion, Monolith, Dantooine, and Bimial. And congratulations again. My membership lapsed. Oh, gee, sorry. That's fine. You were missed. I was like, damn, he needs. I'll send you a link. I'll send the link to the channel members to watch or listen to that part there so you can catch up, because I think that you would really be interested in listening to the Shadow Academy and what happened with it. Yeah. But I was like, damn, Silver needs to be here. Did you mention Garki? Is this how it's spelled? Not yet. Not yet. Let me see if it's up. There we go. Here we go. Let me see here. Okay, so this is by star. So here you got a whole visual that's we're leading up to, and then all this yellow on this bigger, slender galaxy map here is basically the routes and stuff taken to and the battles and stuff like that. And all the planets in the yellow, in the yellow are the ones that basically were invaded and stuff by the Vong. By the Vong. And you can see the galaxy's huge. And the new Republic failed miserably. So by Ruin in Dark Tide, Valkaden, Halska, Serpendal, and I'm repeating some of them, obviously. Bastion, Dubrillion, Dantooine, Monolith, Bimial, Dathomir, Agamar, and Garki. Along with Ithor. And that battle between Corran Horn and what was his name again? Oh shit, there's so many Vong people. What's his name that he fought against? Was it one of the cars? I don't remember now. Damn, I should remember, but I don't. But anyways, it was that battle for Ithor. And basically the Vong just like reneged on that, basically. I vote Shido Shai, a honorable duel with Cornhorn. There, Shido Shai. There we go. I don't know why I went to one of the car guys. Shido Shai. There we go. Thank you. I was like, I can't remember his name, but I know I remember the duel and everything like that. Yeah. How tight is the Vong grip on the galaxy at this time? We'll talk about that then. It's actually basically that Vong grip basically is closed, but that's not. There's no picture of that. There's no artistic picture of that, and I'm gonna have to go through it and make sure through my books. So I'll check that out and I'll show if there's any changes with that. So basically, they got the core worlds. Coruscant is the main core world. Yeah, it was Yeoman Carr versus Mara Jade. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, rest in peace, Ithor. And by the time we get into the Agents of Chaos Heroes Trial timeline, again, I'm going to read them. Valkaden, Halska, Bastion, Dubrillion, Serpendal, which, rest in peace, Chewie. Can't forget about that, right? And there's a great video that Purist covered on Rumble about debunking that Chewie's death was bad, I guess you could say. Okay, Dubrillion, Dantooine, Monolith, Garki, Agamar, Dathomir, Bimial, or whatever, Ord Mantell, Mantell, Ithor, Merker, and Obroa Sky. And so we all know the biggest battle is going to happen. It's going to be a moon above Merker. And that's where we see one of the Skywalker's family members pass away, gives his life so that others can survive and they can finish their mission. And that's kind of where we see a lot of everything shift, you know, because we have Han right now in this timeline during this invasion, mourning the loss of his brother, his best friend, you know, someone that's been in his life that was constant since he escaped from, was it Strikes, the Grasp, you know, and, you know, he always had that connection with Wookiees. And he saved Chewie. And Chewie then was like, I have a life debt. And that grew on home. And if you read the Han Solo trilogy, Han does imagine how it would be to have his own family, being a father, all of that. That's, you know, like a foreshadowing to this guy who wants a family, is a committed man, and wants some kind of bit of steadiness in his life, despite him being a smuggler and all that, right? So great read, fun to get through. We get introduced to his cousin Draken Solo, and a bit of a lot of Solo history pertaining to Corellia as dictats and stuff like that, and as the first ruler and stuff like that. So great history there as well. And then I think I missed here. Oh no, I switched the page. So we're at Jedi Eclipse, part of Agent K's Chaos of Chaos timeline. And we had Edwin here. What's up? How are you doing? I see you in the chat. The Chewbacca comic book by Dark Horse, honoring him was great. Yeah. I do have it clipped because we're going through the new Jedi Order series. I do have his Han Solo talking about his family being in a bubble and stuff like that. And after Chewie's death, you realize that any of them could go and stuff. It's heartbreaking. It's a great story. Let's see here. No, thank you, Conrado. I don't want to imagine that. That's blasphemy. Blasphemy, dude. How are you doing? I know you're reporting in from the Philippines. Good morning. I know it's early morning for you. Remember, folks, Disney Star Wars is not Star Wars. And hit the like. Yes. All right. So Jedi Eclipse timeline here. Valcade, Halska, Serpendal, Bastion, Debrillion, Monolist, Dantooine, Bimiel, Dathomir, Agamar, Garki, Ord-Mantell, Anubis, Ithor, Merker, Abroa Sky, Kashyyyk, Tholitin, Bimasari, Tyna, and Fondor. Fondor is the furthest push towards the core at the time. And again, question, and I should have put it in a stream thing. Who is your let me do it right now. Who is your favorite Vaughn? Let me see here, banners. Let me see, edit. Who is your favorite Yuuzhan Vong character? Why? And if you're watching on Twitter, feel free to leave your response there. I'd love to see it on Twitter. Let's put it up. There we go. And I'm going to play this. I need to take a drink and stuff, and I do need to grab some water because I only have coffee in front of me. So I'm going to play this right here real quick. It's a quick leap for me to go into the kitchen and grab water.
I had fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure at this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of the new Jedi Order.
All right. So let's move on. Balance points. Balance point. One of the greater books there in the timeline. Again, I'm going to read all the way to the recent ones. And if you guys want to say anything about the invasion, something that is impactful that you noticed that we talked about before, that you read about, what have you. Oh, you're on vacation in Hong Kong. Well, awesome. Enjoy yourself, Conrado. Talk about it here. I'm creating topics here, just giving a recap on the invasion, what planets were decimated, and this other stuff taken over, what have you. And we know that Leia, like, dire needs, went and tried to her best to save refugees from various planets as well. I mean, that's a lot. If there's any strong female character ever written, like when you see Leia and her efforts here, mind you, I'm not trying to foreshadow her daughter or Mara Jade or anything like that, but just her diplomatic person and responsibility for the beings of the galaxy. Holy shit, this woman steps up, even despite her and her husband's, I guess you could say, I wouldn't say it's separation. She basically gave Han his space to mourn. She understood the loss of his brother, his best friend. You know, he needed that space. He needed to refine himself and stuff. So she gave him that space. And some people from Disney Star will say, oh, well, her and Han separated. Well, it's very different from losing a family member, someone who's your best friend, your brother, versus just leaving. You know, so she, like, if you ever wanted to read about a strong female who almost lost her life in Balance Point. Holy shit. I believe it's Balance Point, yeah. And yeah, that woman has been through a lot. And I see you guys' response. No Manor was the agent in Crimson Empire, right? Correct. Yes. So he was the agent, and he was wearing the Ugalit masker to make himself look non-Yuuzhan Vong, I guess you could say. And then Silver says, I'm still shocked by Star and haven't moved forward yet. Oh, yeah. I hear that a lot because that right there, that book is so fucking intense with the storyline, what's going on, all of that. Like, Troy Denning, hands down, like, Vector Pride and Star. You know, it's hard to say which one's first or second out of the two. I was really invested in Anakin, so I know it's shocking. I know. All right, so Balance Point. Did I read them all? No, I didn't. Valkaden, Halska, Bastion, Dubrillion, Serpendal, Dantooine, Monolist, Garki, Agamar, Dathomir, Bimil, Vortex, Ord Mantell, Anubis, Ithor, Merkur, Abroa Sky, Kashyyyk, Tholatin, Bimasiri, Nalhada, Ulyssia, Jindine, Duro, Tyna, and Rhodia. We are that far now. We are that far in the invasion. That far into the invasion. Let me find now. Conquest out of Edge of Victory. Now, I'm going to skip all the ones up in the upper corner here that I've been reading, and I'm just going to go from a Vortex, Ord Mantell, Anubis, Ithor, Merkur, Abroa Sky, Kashyyyk, Tholatin, Bimasari, Kessel, Nalhada, Ulyssia, Rhodia, Jindine, Tyna, and Duro. Getting closer. Just imagine, like I said, the New Republic really fumbled it, you know, and then also, you know, was in league with the Peace Brigade in some sense. Really made the Jedi look like the enemies in a sense of how they're responding, how they can see dire need to pay attention to this invasion, and how the New Republic, the committee, the council, and stuff like that were far more like majority, like pacifists in this. And that's why they fell. That's why they fell. Like we're in the point of now the New Republic fall into the Yuuzhan Vong Coruscant is taken. And we have Luke and Mara planning to penetrate Coruscant to see how they can take Coruscant back, you know. So there's all kinds of stuff, you know, and all kinds of stuff going on right now. Let's see here. Okay, let me change the page because I read that one. And of course, what helped benefit the Vong in this invasion was not only Nomenor in there, you know, being one of their spies in the galaxy, but also the types of technology they had. It is biotechnology, something that the species, that the galaxy has never seen or experienced. And so as they're battling the Yuuzhan Vong, they had to learn how to defeat them, how to defeat their vehicles and stuff like that. So it was very good writing for the authors to keep that going and expand on that a little bit more and introduce and keep it exciting as well. Not only that the Vong basically were cut off from the Force, you know, due to dark side tendencies and on their type of culture and how they evolved so bad or in such a negative way. There's that story's going to come up too. So a little bit of spoilers. All right, so leaving that corner there, Vortex, Ordmetal, Anubis, Ithor, Merkur, Abro Sky, Kashyyyk, Dolatin, Bemisari, Kessel, Nalhada, Ulyssia, Rhodia, Tyna, Asterion, Jindine, Corellia, and Duro. So there we go. So slowly moving closer to the core. Whoops, I don't want to put that. Yeah, the Vong really took a lot of territory. They have. It was, like I said, it was if the New Republic had their asses, their heads out of their asses a little more, maybe not so much, right? So skipping that whole top corner here, I don't know if you can see my mouse from where the Vector Prime area started. So Vortex, Bilbringi now, Ordmental. Bilbringi is a shipyard, right? It's a shipyard. Ordmental, Anubis, Ithor, Coruscant. This is Star by Star, you guys. I'm here on Star by Star. Coruscant, Merkur, Kuwat, another ship drive there. Abro Sky, Commonor, Kashyyyk, Tholatin, Bimisari, Kessel, Nalhada, Ulyssia, Rhodia, Cathlis, Tyna, Assyrian, Duro, and Jindine. So we're here at Coruscant. They made it into Coruscant. And at the time, by the time we get to Star by Star, they have the Boxen that they need to destroy because the Boxen is one of the bigger threats from the Vong towards the Jedi. Not that the Vong aren't a threat to the Jedi. They just learned, you know, how to fight against the Vong. You know, thanks to Anakin and experience, and you know, and reassessing how battles went in the past, all of that. Didn't that Kuat leader try to sell out to the Vong? Yeah, so Vicky Kesh is Kuat. Vong really took a lot of territory. Yeah, I read that earlier. So, no spoilers. I'm hoping Ben Skywalker has a big future. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything with Ben Skywalker right now other than that he was born already by this time. Yeah, and so he's still a baby. He's still a baby at this time. Still a baby. And what was so sad was that when Leia heard about her son's death, oh my God, she was holding Ben Skywalker. All right. So with that being said, this is the state of the galaxy. And now we have Wedge, like all the old guard coming and stepping up, like saying, hey, we need to create our own fighting forces, trust. And like he met with like Luke and Mara and all of them. And he's like, basically, we need to rely on each other. Let me go ahead and pull up that clip if I can find it so that you can get better context than what I'm going to mumble here. Let's see here. OG Star Wars channel. Oh, excuse me. Woohoo. All right. And shorts. Let me see if I can find it without a problem. It's one of my newer ones. Here we go. And I think I played it for you guys before, but it's always good to share it again. Let me remove that. Put myself back on the screen. Hello. And share the screen. All right. So this one, I usually, when I make EU shorts, I usually like try to make it like with some like images and stuff like that. But this one, I just wanted to share just a simple story here. So let's go ahead and listen.
Finally, Wedge said, I think that we're right at the edge of annihilation. Not just the government. Our entire culture, our history, gone without a trace. His voice hoarsened. I'm not going to let that happen. So here's what I propose. He drew his blaster and shoved it to the center of the conference table. Anyone need a blaster? I'm willing to put it out there because there's no one in this room I'd hesitate to put my life in the hands of. And that's how I propose we build this resistance. For the time being, don't bring in anyone you wouldn't trust your life to, or your children's lives. We'll set up contacts, bases, and cells the old Rebel Alliance way. While the New Republic hits the enemy where they're strong, we'll figure out how to hit them where they're weak. And if, or when, the New Republic finally falls, we'll be here to hit the Yuuzhan Vong both ways, mixing hard and soft styles. Finally, Wedge said, I think that we're...
All right, so there you go. So that's the book I'm on right now, rereading and stuff. So I got to finish that so that we can create more conversation around that, since having the source book for the first half of the series was amazing because it kind of plotted out what I wanted to talk about because it's not a book review. And I'm trying not to make it a book review at all. Yes, Wedge is based. He's fucking amazing. So we have the old guard coming in, and we have like what now we know is, maybe I'll talk about the squadrons next week. So we have the squadrons, we have the different squadrons, you know, we have the Twin Suns, we have the Rogues, all of them. But within those squadrons, we do have the secret like resistance here, ready to fight no matter which way the New Republic government goes, in order to help give the galaxy a chance. And that's what Wedge sees, is like, you know, we can't trust anybody. We need to fight like how we did it as a rebellion again, and go from that. Go from there. The insiders, baby. Yes, I agree. Hello, how are you doing, Nazo? Yeah. So let's add some booty shorts. Oh my goodness. There you guys go. All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into our last topic of today, and that is our cringe factor. So as we get into that, I need to pull up the link, but here we go. Let me go ahead and play something here. Since we just got done talking about the EU, let's go ahead and watch this.
Someone asked me to give the best reason why someone should read the expanded universe. After giving it a lot of thought, here's what I have to say. The expanded universe respects the reader. In the expanded universe, Luke Skywalker's optimism continues where it left off in Return of the Jedi. He's fulfilled hope to the galaxy just like Obi-Wan said he would, not like the Disney movies where he gave up on the Jedi or even the whole galaxy for that matter. The character you see in those movies is not Luke. Luke isn't a quitter. He's not a pessimist. He's a leader. He's inspirational. And he's always there for his friends in times of need. Another character is Han Solo. He's introduced to us in A New Hope as a loner, a man who cares only for himself and nobody else. But by the end of Return of the Jedi, that all turns around when he finally finds friends he can trust and a true love to spend the rest of his life with. And that's exactly what he does in the expanded universe. Han is a devoted husband and father to Leia and their kids. He loves his family above all else. In the new movies, Han turns out to be a selfish deadbeat dad who ran out on his family when things get tough. It's a complete 180 from the character that we saw from Return of the Jedi. Now, another thing the EU does is it rewards its readers. Attention to detail when it comes to continuity has never been done at such a level as when it was performed by the expanded universe. Avid readers will constantly be rewarded for their diligence as comics, novels, video games, and even children's books share connections throughout the entire series, making it almost a flawless, continuous story. And though it has its minor flaws, it's still the best overall story in continuity out there, period. That's what the EU does. It respects and rewards its readers. And that's the best reason you should give it a try. Long live the expanded universe.
Yes, long live the expanded universe. Now, last night, Matt Wilkins was live celebrating his 9,000 subscribers. So he pushed over 9,000. It's been a long while for him, but he's been slowly growing. And that's how this channel is too, because our focus mainly is George Lucas era Star Wars and resharing and sharing and talking about the lore pre-Disney. And he, on top of that, does his board games reviews and stuff like that. So interesting. If you are into board games, go subscribe as well, among other things too. Then he likes to have just basically sit down and talk with the audience on certain days and stuff. And then his Civilized Age, or whatever it's called. I'm sorry if I got it wrong. But anyways, so great YouTube channel. Congratulations to Matt Wilkins. I was listening to him on my drive home. My drive home from the studio where I now teach at is about maybe a 40-minute drive. So I was listening to it, and I texted him at a red light, and I was like, hey, I'm listening to you. Congratulations. I'm driving, so I can't say anything, but I'm here to support. And what that's about is supporting each other. Even if we can't participate exactly in the live shows that we do, we can go catch the replay. We can listen to while we work around or whatever. And even if we can't communicate in the chat, it's all about that. And it's all about the preservation of the Star Wars lore we love, and that's George Lucas era of Star Wars. So congratulations to Matt Wilkins. Thank you so much for being the head person to keep in the EU in front of others. And you are just well cherished, loved. Thank you, friend, for your support as well. Just wanted to give my shout out to him. Now, with that being said, let's get into our cringe factor. Oh my goodness. Now, before we get fully into that, what do you know about the Mandalorians versus the Jedi? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear what you guys have to say about that. Mandalorians versus the Jedi. Like, how are they towards each other? How do they see each other? All of that. And if a Mandalorian was a Jedi, how did other Mandalorians feel about that? We'll get into that here pretty soon.
So uncivilized.
All right. So reason why I'm saying that is that we are covering this right here. I thought this was very interesting. And I was like, I could have covered my back and forth with that SW versus ST brain rotted guy. But, why give him that attention? Because, this guy needs to let his mind go. And if I gave him more attention, he's just going to freak out a little bit more and might probably have an aneurysm or something. So I decided to just go with this right I am back. I guess the Screen Rant doesn't want me to cover that article. Screen Rant and that SW guy got you OG. I don't know what happened. It's fine, folks. We're all fine here. Let me try this again. Wow, that's crazy. Like all of a sudden, just this one that I'm sharing is going to cause problems. Holy shit. Let's try this again. All right, I'm not going to change anything about the screen orientation. I'll keep myself on the side here and keep it just like this. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So again, this is about Sabine Wren. So what do you guys know about her? I think she was basically introduced in the Rebels cartoon under Disney Star Wars, which I only know bits and pieces about that because from research, I had to look into it. And that was more or less for Thrawn. But then again, I had to go back and looked about. There was a debate I was in on Twitter about her being Force sensitive when it was first revealed and how they said, oh, Rebels already showed she was. And no, they didn't. Rebels did not show she was. In fact, there was no inkling of Force sensibility whatsoever. So here we go. So with that being said, it is confirmed that was never, ever who she was supposed to be. And Henry Gilroy is the one that confirmed it. And we'll get into that. But I also wanted to play this right here. So hopefully I don't get screwed up and kicked out again. But I wanted to go ahead and share this right here. We all know this interview by Filoni himself about changing characters. Here we go.
And I've always leaned towards if we're going to create something, we should check and see if it existed already to the fans, because it has way more value if we bring that in. And It's like, why would I just replace it with something new? So if we're going to do an admiral, if we're going to do a big military leader, yeah, I could create a new guy, sure. But what about Thrawn? Thrawn is great. Thrawn is a character we all know. Thrawn has a lot of credibility. So then you ask yourself, is it right to use him? And can we use him in a way that's similar to the books? Or are we using him and it's going to go completely into left field? And there have been times when we wanted to use things from the EU and I was like, yeah, but we can't use it that way. So why? I don't want to use it and change it. Mm-hmm. I don't want to use it and make it something completely different. That's rude.
Yeah, so that's rude. And I would say, like, the decisions made for her character in Rebels and with Henry Gilroy she was not supposed to be a Jedi. She's a Mandalorian. Not saying that they're keeping continuity to what was established before, because we're talking about Disney Star Wars, not pre-Disney Star Wars. Jedi and Mandalorian are enemies. And if a Mandalorian was a Jedi, that was highly frowned upon. And it's also discussed in Legacy of the Force under Karen Travis as well, and the series writers as well. And we have, we have Jaina looking at a Mandalorian healer who used to be a Jedi. And we know, if you read through the lore, we know how the Mandalorians feel about the Jedi, about the past wars with the Jedi, all of that, our battles and conflicts and what have you. So we have all of that. So it made sense in a way, and I'm not defending or not saying that I agree with Disney Star Wars. That's not what I'm saying, but it made sense at least to a point, because we know by this time under Filoni, Mandalorian culture significantly changed. And then they're trying to bring some things back, and I'm like, what? It's like you had a good story to tell in the beginning for Mandalorians, and here you fucked it up. But anyways, that's another story to be told in another time. Sounds like someone in a Disney Star Wars movie. All right. A Force-sensitive Mando is heresy. Mando is a contrast to Jedi. And the Mandalorian don't trust Force sensitives, but will work with them if it benefits them in the long run. Yes, and we see that in the Yuuzhan Vong War. We see that in New Jedi Order. by that time, Boba Fett, and I do need to go over that comic time frame. I really do. And I know the comics are not the best in the New Jedi Order. The novels are the best to read, but the comics did not uphold to the standards of the novels. Usually they do, and they bring more context. But this was kind of a failure. But anyways, we do need to visit them. But when we learn about Boba Fett during that time, he's a Mando. He's the Mandalorian. He's already been a Mando all his life, or Mandalorian. But he's Mandalore. He is basically the leader, I guess you could say. And at first, he puts up a front, not siding with the New Republic, and that was just a ruse against the Vong. And then when the time, and I'm going just brief through it. I'm not giving sheer details or anything like that. By the time, the tides kind of turn, and he reveals that the Mandalorians are really siding with the New Republic and stuff, and they offer aid. Basically, the Mandalorians offer aid and help fight off the Yuuzhan Vong as well. And they even side with the Jedi, but only because it was beneficial. Just like it said here in the chat, only beneficial to them, to the cause, to the galaxy, what have you. But in the long run, Mandalorians and Jedi, not necessarily mixed. So when Jaina Solo, for those who don't know, Jaina Solo is the daughter to Han and Leia. Her twin is Jason Solo. And they have just already lost their brother, Anakin Solo. So when Jaina in Legacy of the Force timeline goes to Boba Fett, the Mandalorians, to seek training, because her and her brother twins, they know each other's fighting style, all of that, she needed to come out with some different techniques and different ways and stuff like that. So she goes to Boba Fett, and they recall, about the Yuuzhan Vong War, what happened, and all this other stuff. So there's that callback to what happened during the Yuuzhan Vong War and stuff. And that took a lot of guts, a lot of bravery for her to go ask Boba Fett, her dad's enemy as well, like literally her dad's enemy, what have you, for assistance, for help, for training. She didn't have her weapons on her or anything. And that's what brought respect to her by Boba Fett. It's a very interesting bit of lore that expands all the way into Legacy. So I don't see how people who are Denning-verse or haters of the storyline because of Troy Denning going forward after New Jedi Order don't see a lot of continuity tie-ins and stuff like that. All right. Kyle Katarn was the best kind of uncivilized. So there you go. All right. Mandalorians aren't stupid. Boba once told Leia that he only worked for the Empire because he believed they were the winning side. Yeah, I remember that too. I remember reading that. Yep. And Boba talked about the old days with his right-hand guy. Yeah, Sabine. With his right-hand guy is a good glimpse into Boba's mindset, right? Yeah, so Sabine is his right-hand person, what have you. So let's get into this because I'd rather talk about the lore in general than this right here. So the original plan for Sabine Wren in Star Wars Rebels, so Disney Star Wars Rebels, highlights the big issue with Ahsoka's narrative. Ahsoka Season 2 story is on the horizon, and many are excited to see how the character storyline will continue. Many of these characters were introduced in the Disney Star Wars animated TV shows, now continuing on in live action. Some are even expected to appear in upcoming shows. And so we're going to talk about Sabine Wren. The initial story for her character was well received in Star Wars Rebels before becoming somewhat controversial in Ahsoka. And let me see who the author is. So this is Louis Glazebrook. I don't think we read anything about him through Screen Rant before. So he might be the first person out of all the authors that write for Screen Rant that we've come across. Okay, so let me see here. Before somewhat controversial Ahsoka, now the original decisions in the former show have been outlined, proving how the divisive storyline of the latter might be a bigger issue than first thought. So here she is in Rebels here with the Darksaber. The divisive storyline in question was Sabine Wren's force sensitivity. And I've talked and discussed about this so many times because of Mandalorian. And mind you, there has been, I'm not saying there isn't, but when you look at the show of Rebels and me doing my research and stuff, there's nothing, no ties to her being force sensitive whatsoever. And you can tell that Filoni was stringing that in when it came to Ahsoka. Rather than being a Mandalorian soldier who was aware of the ways of the Jedi, but a warrior, aware of the ways of the Jedi, but a warrior in her own right, as she was in Star Wars Rebels, Ahsoka revealed that Sabine had been trained by the tutelar Jedi through the timeline of the original Star Wars trilogy. So during the original Star Wars trilogy, the OT, she was being trained, I guess. So that was something, instead of like Ahsoka or anybody coming into helping fight off the enemy, so that does not make sense whatsoever lore-wise to me. But this is Disney Star Wars, it's they wanted to put their own vision, just like Georgia said. They're putting in their own vision of Star Wars, basically. At the onset of Ahsoka, Sabine and Ahsoka are estranged after the latter tried and failed to train the former as a Jedi because she's not force sensitive. Sabine's stubbornness, Ahsoka's PTSD. Oh, we're gonna throw that in there with Anakin Skywalker, and the fears of Sabine clouded. Emotions were led her down the dark path. Saw her fail as a Jedi. What dark path? There was no dark path. All right. However, this goes against the original plans that was constructed for the Disney Star Wars Rebels. This plan was divulged in Pod of Rebellion. So I'm going to go to that and listen to it and report more on that later. By Star Wars Rebels co-writer and co-executive producer Henry Gilroy. So I wanted to get down to the point. Here he is right here. And this is what he says. Sabine was always meant to be a Jedi, as shown in Ahsoka live action. And there's a question, and basically he's like, nope. So here's what he said. So I presented a question right here, and here is what he says, quote unquote, Henry Gilroy. I'll say it was absolutely not the plan. As a matter of fact, we had a discussion in season 3 about it. We really felt not only did it step on Ezra's story, but it was like a retread of, okay, we already did this. So yeah, the idea of Sabine training as a Jedi when she is already this fantastic warrior of her own type, we felt like, quote unquote, this was overkill, quote unquote. So there you go. And I'm not going to read past this. We all know, we all discussed this in the past, that it felt wrong. It felt weird. All of that. And we're not really Disney Star Wars fans, but we've seen how this was shoehorned in there. I put ham-fisted earlier, I said that, but shoehorned in there. And Henry Gilroy is not a part of the creation of Ahsoka. So who do you think's responsible for this? And it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit whatsoever. So what are your feelings about this? This right here, major cringe factor, Disney Star Wars stuff, going into Filoni's trying to elevate these characters. I want to see who. Do you guys know? Is Sabine Wren truly Filoni's character, or is it one of the other writers' characters? I would like to know. Was it Henry's character? Because he contributed writing these stories as well. So was he responsible for introducing her? Like, I didn't go back and look at the episodes when she was first introduced. Yeah, they sat down and did the storyboard and put the stories together. He's just one of the writers, but is she his character? I want to know, because from what I get, it seems like he was more responsible for her character arc, and they had discussions about where she's going to go, and it wasn't going to be the Jedi way. So there you go. And I'm going to go ahead and play this because it's very important to know, to let you guys know how Filoni understands characters.
I can always point to two female characters that made a huge impression on me. One would be Leia. The other would be the character of Eowyn from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. I won't go into that. It's not my franchise. But Lynn will appreciate that I don't. But the idea that Eowyn slew the Witch King, slayed him, blew my mind as a kid. I had to go back and read that chapter several times in a row right there. Because as a young boy, I had never come in contact with that concept. But this woman took out this main terrifying villain.
All right, so that's how he sees characters. He just has, it doesn't seem like he has a blatant understanding to characters whatsoever. Soul Assassin says, some guy in the chat said, well, the Mandalorian in the Clone Commando book used a lightsaber. And I said, yeah, he did. He didn't use the Force. And that's the difference, because Han Solo used the lightsaber to save Luke, right? But yeah, he didn't use the Force. So there you go. So that right there is just a BS hamstring like defense for Sabine Wren, whatever. Anyways, so there's your cringe factor of the day. And who knows what's going to come ahead in Ahsoka 2 for Disney Star Wars. I will be here to expose, to reveal, to talk about the Star Wars news behind it and what have you. Also, I'm keeping an eye on Ahsoka because it's already been said that they're making her the Gandalf type character. And I already did a video about that. And I want to do a part 2 to reveal if my conclusion to it was right or wrong. But I'm just waiting to see what happens further with the story arc of hers by Filoni. He wants to make her so significant that she's going to be some kind of goddess in the Force or something like that. Watch. And then let me see here. It was foretold that no man will kill the Witch King, and she was a woman. Filoni is so stupid. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. So thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to wrap it up here. So just a little over 2 hours. Last week, I know we went 3. It's all good. So just a little over 2 hours. So thank you guys again for hanging out, having these fun discussions about George Lucas era Star Wars, and talking about the cringe factors, story news about Disney Star Wars and stuff like that. You guys are amazing. And if you catch the replay, thank you for hanging out with me this long. Let me know you're here, and maybe even timestamp where where you want to talk about a certain topic that we discussed here. But with that being said, hit that like button if you haven't already. Share the stream out. And most of all, if you have and you can afford it, not that much, become a channel member. And to those, oh my God, I'm losing my voice. Hold on. I'm going to mute myself real quick. So to those who became a channel member by the gifts that was sent out, thank you so much again. The Sunday is book club. So 6 p.m. So catch me then. Come join in. Love to have you. Hang out. Great opportunity to create community under the George Lucas era Star Wars, particularly the Young Jedi Knights. So as always, you guys have a great day. And I'm going to play this as we start exiting. And I shall catch you later. I'll be listening to the spacing on my drive home. So see you there on the spacing.
I'm telling you, this finale, it's unbelievable how tepid contemporary art seemed compared to the passionate quality of this finale. So you have this like huge, it's like romantic nature painting, apocalyptic landscape of the lava. Lucas crosscuts the destruction of the Senate chamber, and you have the destruction of industry going on. And then after all these horrors, it is so beautiful. I'm saying, my God, nothing in the last 30 years in any of the arts has been produced as emotionally compelling and significant as the finale of Revenge of the Sith.
Another happy landing.